Hi, everybody. Anthony here from HashiNet, and today we have an interesting ensemble of people for our holiday 2021 discussion. First off, if you don't know who I am, I don't know how you found me, but thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. To my immediate right on the screen is John Bermuda Schwartz, the drummer for Weird Al Yankovic.
Hello, everybody.
Next to John is Danni Dolphin, a Transformers YouTuber. Hey, Danny.
Hi.
Below me is Dennis Moulton, a.k.a. GotBot, also a Transformers YouTuber.
Humble as always.
Thank you. And then next to Dennis is Sam, Starscream's wife. If you pay attention to the GotBot's channel, you may have heard her or been banned by her. Either way. And finally, my sidekick, Moose, who is in the bottom corner there. Hey, Moose.
What up?
Okay. So we have a number of topics today. We are going to talk to John first. We have to cover a book that he has published with Al. And he just announced, or Al and John and the crew just announced this past week, the 2022 North American Tour. So we're going to cover a little bit of that. So, John, I'm going to give it to you, and we're going to switch to a screen. First off, focusing on your website. So tell people more about you and how they could find your work.
Okay, well, it's BermudaSchwartz.com or BermudaSchwartz.net or .org or JohnBermudaSchwartz.com or et cetera, et cetera. And it basically it gives a rundown of what I've done, my credits, some photos. My most recent project, while we had a year off in 2020, was the book that you see on there, black and white and weird all over, The Lost Photographs of Weird Al Yankovic, 1983 to 86. And I shot a lot of film back in the day, and this was the only era that I shot black and white on Al. And most of these had not ever been seen before. A lot of my stuff's been on the web, and a lot of it's been published, but almost none of these had been seen before. So a book came out actually in November of 2020, and probably the best deal going, and it's right there, is on Amazon. If you can log on today, I don't know how they're doing right now, but the best deal going, they've got it for 30% off. In fact, they've had it for 30% off since January, so I don't know how I made any money at all, but that's the best deal going, and the reviews have been great on it. Al loves the book, the fans have loved the book, and I'm actually working on another book titled To Be Determined, and et cetera, et cetera. But working on another one, but it's going to be a busy year ahead, so that's going to be interesting.
Okay, so let's go on to the next topic. So you guys announced last week the 2022 tour, and I love the title of it. It's the unfortunate return of the ridiculously self-indulgent, ill-advised vanity tour, which I think the only change in it is the return of.
Well, given that we had 2021 off, we were supposed to be out on the road last January, so I would actually sort of call this the fortunate tour, but it's going to be a long one. It's literally 27 weeks long, and for those that are Al fans, you know the magic of a 27 number, and it's strictly a coincidence. They didn't plan that, but we're out for 27 weeks straight, no breaks, no nothing, and it's going to be a busy one, and that's all throughout the U.S. and Canada, and starts. So what is it? April 26th, I believe, in Poughkeepsie, and goes right through October 29th. Very cool gig, last gig of that tour, Carnegie Hall in New York City.
Because if I understand the pattern, you start in the New York area. I believe that's what we did in the New York area, right? Literally just said it, yes. So you start in New York, you kind of go through central United States, you go through Ohio, you follow that path into California, then you head north into Canada, then you cross Canada west to east, and then you end up back in the United States, where you kind of circulate around the Midwest, ending at that last location in New York, if I'm correct, based on what I've read.
Yeah, it's some serious zigging and zagging, but tours are just that way. I mean, we're in and out of several states several times. And it's just the nature of, it's just not possible or affordable to plan it all in a row, because you just end up with too many days off that you have to pay for things, and there's no show that day, and it's like, well, how do we pay for that? So it makes more sense to just backtrack 200 miles, do a show, then backtrack in the same direction 500 miles and do another show, and just going back and forth. And most tours are that way. It just doesn't, it's not possible to have a sensible tour, and that's okay. We're used to that. But it's going to be 6 months of that. And that's a long time. That's going to be our longest time without a break. And we're all old. We're all on Medicare now. So it's not Al. Al's not quite there. But yeah, it's going to be, I think anybody that sees us at Carnegie Hall at the end of a 6-month tour is going to be, if we can still play, they're going to see a heck of a show.
Okay. So let's open up to some questions for John here. Because I know GotBot's a huge fan. I'm a huge fan. I actually wore out my my mandatory fun disc. So, because I kept it in my car, and through a few years, it just heat and cold. I destroyed it, and it started warping in my CD player. I don't know where it's at now. I think it broke. Anyway, so questions for John.
I got a question.
Yes.
How far east into Canada is the tour going? Because we're here in Newfoundland, and unfortunately, we don't usually get hit with people because we're too far east, and we're not.
Yeah, not. I don't know if we've ever played Newfoundland before. The farthest east I think we're going on this tour is Ottawa.
Oh,
And
okay.
in the past, we've done Prince Edward Island, and we've done Nova Scotia, and where is St. John? Not St. John's, but New Brunswick. So that's kind of the eastern extent that we've done in the past. But on this tour, it's going to be Ottawa, and to the west, it'll be Vancouver, as usual.
Cool.
So I do have a question. Are you guys releasing another record at some point? Because I noticed you guys are just dropping new things off on the web and not necessarily throwing singles at, or if you are, I'm not seeing them.
No, the last thing that we did was the Hamilton Polka, which was, I think, beginning of 2018, maybe 2019. And as far as an actual album, we're not under contract. We've not been under contract since 2014. You get a #1 album, it's like, great, see you, Sony Records. So the plan is, when Al has a new song he wants to do, we can do it, and we can put it out fairly immediately. In the past, it was like, well, you got to have 12 songs, and a song that's going to be a single, then we'll do an album on you. We're not in the business of releasing singles. Well, unfortunately, nobody's really paying for anything anymore, so it just doesn't make sense to keep a contract to have a label that will sell records that nobody's buying. They buy stuff online, and you don't need an actual product. Al can put stuff out there on his own. And so that's the plan. Is he going to blast out 10 or 12 songs at once? Probably not. So in terms of, is there going to be an album? Not per se, no. I think there will be other singles. There's nothing in the works right now. But like I say, the last thing we did after the record deal was the Hamilton Polka, which got a lot of attention and is very cool. Not something that we can pull off live, unfortunately.
Because you've been with Al since the Dr. Demento days. I'm kind of curious, when you guys, or when Al does the records, are you just doing live drumming, or how does like the studio recording go? Are you there?
Oh, of course. And it depends on the song. If we're parodying a song that was sequenced, and so much of that stuff is nowadays, that's what we do. On Mandatory Fun, for example, the last album that we had, all of the parodies were sequenced, and we did all of that work at home. I did all of the drumming and drum sounds on that, and either Steve or Jim, bass and guitar player, did the keyboard parts, sequenced the keyboard parts, and basically all of that music is me, Jim, and Steve. That's all the parodies. Now, the live stuff, we record stuff as a band, and we go into a studio, but all the rest of that stuff is basically sequenced at home. I do it right on the computer, and essentially email the files to Al, who puts them on a drive and goes into the studio and makes sure they all line up. And we talk about what key it's in and the tempo. I mean, we know up front what we're doing, but everything is done. On that album, it was me and one of the other guys, and then Al assembled it all and sang, and you have a #1 record.
Okay. So anybody else have a question? Moose.
Hello.
Hi, Moose.
Hi. I am a huge fan of your guys' music.
Thank you.
When I went to see the Mandatory Fun tour, That was the first time I got to see you guys live, and I ended up surprising myself with how many of your songs that I actually knew the lyrics to, and I ended up losing my voice like really early on. But I'm just genuinely impressed at the range that the band has to be able to perform all of these different genres and perform them well. Like, there are some cases where I prefer the sound of your playing more than the actual original versions. So I don't really have a question so much as I'm just very impressed, and I'm a huge fan.
Oh, thank you very much. I think it's one of those deals where, some groups just come together and you find all the right guys the first time. Like the Beatles, with not counting Pete Best, but with the Beatles, it was like, once it was those four guys, it was magic. Each of them was exactly the right guy to make that group a success, the way it was. And with Al, this band's been together since the first album, since beginning of '82, since we cut the first album. And for every tour, every album, every TV, it's the same four guys. I mean, it's Al, me, Steve J on bass, Jim West on guitar. Our touring keyboardist, Ruben Valtier, has been with us for 30 years now. And he's the new guy. At 30 years, he's still the new guy. So, but we treat him as such, by the way, too.
Go ahead, Dennis.
You guys have been around for so long that it's to a point where, if you guys are going to put something out, like you said, you can put out a single because there's such a rabid fan base anyway that it's going, to be successful. Anyway, when you look back, from 82 to now, we're talking a long time. Do you have an era of music, of creativity that you look back and say, man, the music of that era is like my favorite. It was the most fun to toy with. Like, do you have one that stands out to you? Like, do you go back and say, well, no, the 80s was my favorite, or like late 90s, or maybe the last 5 years has been your favorite? Like the era of music that you guys are creating and manipulating. What era would you say is your favorite?
Yeah, that's really hard to say because I always like you may as well ask what the best album was, what my favorite album was, and it's always the recent one, and it's because we've over the years, if you listen to, everyone says, well, you guys sound just like the original. Well, that's the goal. That's always been the goal. But if you listen to Eat It, let's say from 1984, and how much that doesn't sound quite like Beat It, but it's close enough, I guess, to where we've gotten with the last album, where you literally would not know the difference between our song and the original song. We have gotten that good, and part of it is a production thing, and part of it is the engineer. The other part of it is we've all gotten really good at sound design, they call it. When you're manipulating stuff in a computer, and we've improved with each album. And even between what was Alpocalypse in 2011 and then Mandatory Fun in 2014, even just from the 13th to the 14th album, there was an improvement. I listened back to the early stuff, and it's like, that was a nice effort, but we didn't quite nail it. And I think the serious fans and other musicians can tell. And then over the years, we got better. And so, I want to say, the last decade or two has been my favorite, but I don't dislike the others either.
No.
I like it all. I suppose our best work is what's most current, in terms of best, but I like it all. I'm happy, on this tour, this is a sort of a stripped down tour. There's no costumes, no video, no server to send out horn parts or female vocal parts or percussion parts or whatever. It's just us. It's the five of us on stage. And we're doing some stuff, throughout Al's entire career. So we're going to play some old stuff. We're going to play, the more current stuff, current 2014, I guess. And I like it all, so it's really hard to name in a word. I all 4 decades, I guess.
All time, just all of it.
Yeah, just all at once.
Yeah.
Just simultaneous, just like in 3.5 minutes. So you just hear it all, but you don't have to sit in a concert for like 90 minutes.
Right.
So is it more like an unplugged tour coming up then, or? Okay.
Yeah, we did. Now we did a tour, and hence the return of. Well, we did a tour like this in 2018, and that was very well received. Believe me, if it wasn't, we wouldn't be doing it again. And we're not doing this for us. We do it for the fans. And it was very successful because honestly, nobody had ever seen, since the very early days when we played strictly as a live band, no trickery, no video, no nothing. It's been a long time. And a lot of our fans weren't even alive then. They couldn't have possibly seen a show of us, just the 4 or 5 of us up there just playing just us for, since about 87, 85, somewhere in there. We started using machines. We started incorporating video. We're working harder to sound more like the records. If we could, we didn't want to sound like just a garage band trying to sound like this other well-produced band.
A garage band from Seattle.
Yeah. So we at some point began introducing tracks, not that we're not playing, but percussion parts, certain background parts, that we couldn't cover, certain sound effects that weren't really possible to insert on the fly live. A lot of that we were depending on the server, which also ran the video. So anytime someone was at a show and you saw video, there's a good chance there was something else coming. There was some audio coming off the video, but the drums were always live, bass guitar always live, accordion always live, Al's lead vocal always live, keyboards always live. And that's what this tour is going to be. Al has a MIDI accordion which can make essentially any sound. In fact, he doesn't even have to pump the accordion. He can just play it as is. I think he pumps it just because he's used to moving his arms in rhythm. But he can play strings, guitar, piano on there, horns. He could, all sorts of impossible stuff. And he fills in because there's only 4 other players on stage. He has to fill in those parts on this unplugged tour because there's just the 4 of us don't make enough noise. So when we rehearsed for a lot of this stuff in the first place back in 2018, he had to basically learn how to play songs that he had written but never actually played. Songs that we played all the parts on, that the guitar player would do 2 or 3 parts on, and now Al is having to be up there having to play a guitar part because we only have 1 guitar player on stage. So Al has to fill in certain other parts or another piano part or some kind of strings or whatever it is. He had to actually work on those things. And we had to, learn and relearn a whole bunch of songs. We pulled a bunch of songs out that we'd never played as a band before.
Okay, so following up on something Moose said, when you hear the songs that you parody, do you hear in your head the songs that you guys recorded instead?
If I hear the original?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I it's like, oh yeah, we did that, and Al sang this here, and I remember recording that or programming it or whatever. Yeah. It definitely harkens to what we do. It's not just, you can't listen to Beat It. I can't listen to Beat It or Bad without hearing Eat It and Fat and stuff like that. Smells like Teen Spirit is automatically Smells Like Nirvana to me. Stuff like that.
Yeah, because a local radio station started playing Radioactive frequently, and I go straight into interactive with the lyrics. It's just an inactive Cheeto dust.
About 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, we were actually going out to a camping trip, and as we were going out, I Think I'm Alone Now came on, and it's been years since I heard that song. That's not the words I started to sing in the car. My wife could probably confirm it. I did not start singing I Think I'm Alone Now. I was singing I Think I'm a Clone Now.
Yes,
that was mine, because I do the exact same thing when I hear it. That's the song I hear. I hear you talk, John, and all I can think is, what even all these years later, and you can hear the inflection in your voice, what a passion you still seem to have, a labor of love, so to speak, and even the extra that Al's putting into it. And I think that's probably part of why the fans have stayed loyal and why new fans have come on, because if you guys love it, then they'll love it too. Yeah,
that's exactly it. We're not doing this for the money, really. It's we're all fine, but it's not Al doesn't have to go out and perform. He does this, he put together a tour because he wants to, because he enjoys going out and performing on stage, and we all do it too. Which is great. It's been, it's turned into, and I don't remember when I realized it, but it has become a career. It's been a career for some time, and I'm not sure exactly when I realized that this would probably be something I would do until we all stop doing it. At some point it is going to stop, but I don't know when. Like I said, we're all on Medicare. The band is all Medicare age, and Al's getting close. That's not a secret. We've been doing this 40 years. But I'm going to try and do it as long as Al wants to do it, and as long as I can get up there and play drums, I'm going to continue to be up there. And I think he's going to do it for a long time. I don't know if he's going to do quite the amount of jumping around. Now, these unplugged tours, the first one in 2018, Al literally for almost the whole show just sat on a stool the whole time, and Steve and Jim just sat on stools, and it was just very kind of like, it was like an unplugged kind of a thing. And everyone stayed on stage for, there was no going off because we didn't have any costume changes. It was just we walked on stage, played for 90 minutes, and then, to thank you, good night. Normally we'd come back out and do an encore. And it's fun. It's fun for us, and it's, at our age, it's relaxing to just sit up there and not have to dance around and change costumes and all that. At least not this time. We'll probably come back to that next time out.
So if they were all standing, or all sitting, were you the one standing then?
No, I was sitting also. Everyone was sitting. Everyone had a stool.
Yeah.
And that was it. I mean, once I got up and sat down at the drums, I was there for 90 minutes until I got up and walked off, which is neither here nor there. I mean, a lot of bands do that. But what we've been doing is we come out, we do 2 or 3 songs, usually open with a polka medley at the beginning of the show. And then there's a costume change. So the video is running, and it's a nonstop show. As Moose has seen, of a recent show is very typical of the kind of show we've been doing for 25 plus years. And it's just, there's always something going on. And it's literally, they bill it as a multimedia rock and comedy extravaganza. And that's exactly what it is. It's just, when we do the longer show, we did a 2-hour and 15-minute show back in the day. And it was just nonstop. You just sat in your seat, you just, no intermission, no nothing. And it went by very quick also. It was just, a lot of stuff going on. And the fans love it, and they've been very receptive to this as well. A lot of them are very excited that this Unplugged tour has come back.
Because I remember the 2004 show in Cleveland was in the outdoor amphitheater, and it flew so fast, but I know it was a longer show. But you guys, the lights go out, the big old screen comes on, people disappear off stage, or sometimes people get changed on stage, and it is a whole production, just beginning to end when you're not doing the unplugged version.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's very well coordinated. The videos are timed to the costume changes, which means, and it's like, well, how do we do that in rehearsal? I hate to say it, but it's been a long time since we actually really rehearsed the show all the way through and had it before we went out on the road. Usually the opening show is the dress rehearsal. But what Al does, and he concocts all the videos and makes sure everything's sequenced and the length is good. And he says, well, this should probably take, 3 minutes and 20 seconds to do this change, but I'll make it 3 minutes and 50 seconds. And if we find when we're out on the road that the change goes quicker and we're just kind of standing at the side waiting for the video to end, we'll shorten it so that we can get back out there and play. We don't want this to just become a video show. We want it to just to be a lot of excitement and just bam, 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 bam. And the videos are literally there not to entertain, but just so we can do the costume changes without it being a black stage.
Okay. So did anybody else have any more questions? Because then I'm going to run into a clip package that John did with Ludwig drums. And then when we get back from that, we're going to once again let you know how to buy the book and check on the tour. And remind you that I did do an interview with John earlier this year, which you can catch on HNE Games channel. So unless there's any questions, I'm going to move on to the video package. Nope. Okay. So we'll be right back in about 3 minutes. So enjoy this video provided here by John.
Hi, I'm John Bermuda Schwartz with the Weird Al Yankovic Band, and this is Behind the Beat. We're in the Chicago Theater here in Chicago, Illinois, in support of the Mandatory World Tour The mandatory Fun LP was released in July of 2014 and debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 charts, which is pretty cool. Very cool for a comedy act, very cool for anybody, really. We're on tour, a world tour from May through October of 2015, and got about 110 dates, so it's going to be a busy year. These are my drums for the tour. I've been using these since 2011. These are Keystones in fairly standard sizes, 14 by 24, 8 by 12, 9 by 13, and 16 by 16. All mounted Atlas mounts here and rims mount down here. Using a 6.5-inch Black Beauty with Imperial lugs, regular normal shell. And I like the Keystones in particular sound. They have a lot of bite, they have a lot of punch, there's a lot of warmth there, and I feel like I get a lot out of them when I'm playing them. The kick is beefy, toms are beefy, there's a lot of attack, there's a lot of tone, and it's hard to beat a Black Beauty. I recently changed from a standard rims mount with a big plate on here to the Atlas mount. I did that for a couple of reasons. One, I prefer the look. It's a lot sleeker. You see more of the shell. Sound is great. And another bonus is you don't have to remove a whole assembly just to change heads. I leave these drums on here and I can change them as is without having to take off a big rims mount. I still have one on the 16-inch floor tom, and every time I have to do that, I sure wish I had Atlas mount on there as well. But these have been great, and they're compact, and that's definitely the way to go. I recently started using the Atlas pillar clutch snare stand. If you've ever had a snare walk when you're playing it and kind of move around and do things, you're going to love this stand. What it does is it allows you to move the arms here, the holders, so that the drum is centered right over the center of the stand. It's not centered off of here, because when you do that, the stand walks. When it's centered right here, and you can see it wants to be here, you hit the drum straight on, it goes straight down the center. This stand doesn't move at all. It's great. Don't ever have to worry about it.
Okay, so thank you, Jen, for coming. Now, before we go, just remind people what they can do to look you up, look up the book, and look up the tour. And so first off, we have John Bermuda Schwartz website, which is bermudaschwartz.com.
Right.
And keep in mind, the links for everything is in the video here. And then we also have his book, Black and White and Weird All Over, the last photographs of Weird Al Yankovic, 1983 to 86. It is available now on Amazon.com. And finally, again, the unfortunate return of the ridiculously self-indulgent, ill-advised Vanity Tour. Try to say that 3 times fast. You will not get through. I noticed a special guest is Emo Phillips, a regular for Weird Al.
Yeah, Emo was out with us in 2018, and it was a really good match for what we do. I mean, even the younger fans that maybe hadn't heard his albums from back in the 80s, they loved him. So it was a good match. He's looking forward to come back out. He comes out and does like a half hour, and then we do about 90 minutes after that. And it's a good evening. It's an enjoyable evening.
Okay, so tour dates and locations and ticket information is available on the WeirdAl.com website. So go check that out. And thank you, John, for sticking with us for this half an hour and sharing with the people the upcoming tour. And is there anything you want to say before you go?
No. No, you covered it all. We got a book, we got a tour. There's another book coming out later to talk about another time. And I wish everyone happy holidays and a happy new year. And I hope 2022 opens up with this pandemic thing and we all get back to normal.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, John, again. And everybody else, we're going to stick around. And what we're going to do is we're going to get into some holiday talks, some Transformer talks. I did some polls, so we're going to go over that. And we are going to get into that in a second. I need to cough. So first off, we're going to go again with Danny here. Please tell people how they can find you. And go ahead and sploo that off for everybody. Oh, that sounded bad. Don't sploo it off to everybody.
Well, you can follow me on YouTube. It's probably the friendliest and best place to find me. My wonderful face. But yeah, I haven't been uploading as much lately, but I'm getting back into it. Just work and retail has destroyed me lately and other personal stuff. But I'm getting back into it. I already filmed some new toy hunts. So yeah, I'm just probably near the middle of December. I'll start posting again. Got to get back into it. Miss it, love it. But yeah, you find me there, and I've also posted most of my other like just up-to-date stuff on Instagram. OMG Danni Dolphin, like it's spelled right there. That's where you can find me in this world wide web. Where can they find you? Who's ever next?
Am I next?
Dennis.
I'm next? Oh, okay, I'm next. On the Twitters, it's at Dennis Moulton 1. On Instagram, I think it's Dennis_Moulton_author because newsflash, I got the post that I did a while ago. On YouTube, on Facebook. Honestly, if you put in GotBot or if you put in my name, I'm not a hard man to find. Pretty easy.
Okay. And I was going to say, Sam, do you want to tell people about what you do?
The only place you're usually going to find me is in the live chats on GotBot's channel. I don't create any of my own content, though I have had requests. I guess I'm not that person. I'm more of the backstage person for my husband. So if I do start posting things, I'm sure you'll hear about it.
I mean, I'm sure we'll hear about it. He will tell us during one of his Thursday shows. We will hear about it. Yeah. Okay, and Moose, is there anything you want to share other than you just got married?
I did just get married. Yeah, so honestly, I would like to start making my own content. I've always wanted to be a toy reviewer. I mean, it's always been a hobby of mine, even in my adult years. It's just hard to find time. I'm a chef. I work literally like sun up to sundown most days, so it's just hard to find the energy to do anything outside of it. But I've always had a passion for Transformers, and I grew up on Power Rangers, and I could just talk everyone's ear off about it. But at the end of the day, I'm just kind of the representative everyman of the group. I just kind of am one of the viewers who's just getting a chance to sit at the table right now. So I'm just kind of happy to be here at the moment.
Okay. So the first topic is, and I brought in Sam, Starscream's wife, because she's the only one of us that isn't a Transformers fanatic. So I went out with Moose and another friend yesterday, and Moose and I basically just trade Transformers amongst each other, because he's my dealer and I'm also his dealer.
That makes sense. I didn't think
but Sam has no real dog in this fight, despite the fact that occasionally she likes to transform into Dennis gets. So starting with Sam, you have two sons, and if I understand something Dennis said, at least one of them has an interest in Transformers, if it's not passing or otherwise.
Yeah, so my oldest son has actually been a big fan of Bumblebee since our pre-GotBot days. As most people know, Dennis is a father, but he met his children when they were 4 and 6. So even prior to the GotBot era, I was out buying Bumblebees, including a Devastator from Revenge of the Fallen. I remember trying to put that thing together. That was just terrible back in the day. And at one point, he even had a Bumblebee voice head. And it was hilarious because he was probably around 2 or 3. And there's this huge, massive mask on his head. And he's running around the house in it. And it's completely too big for his body. And I'm so surprised he didn't fall over more. But he's always been a big Bumblebee fan. Right from the start. We took him to see, what was it? Yeah, it was... Revenge of the Fallen. That's where Optimus dies in the newer series, right?
Yeah.
So we took him to see that, and of course, there's spoiler alert: Optimus dies, and he was inconsolable in the theater. Like we almost had to leave. It was that bad.
Oh, wow.
It was just It was like everybody was in '86 or '85 when the original one
86,
came
yeah.
out. '86, and where the kids were inconsolable. That's what I had. A child who was inconsolable in the theater because Optimus died. So he's like I said, I've been buying Transformer toys for a really long time. One of my worst experiences was the year we bought him the Cybertronian Optimus Prime. My ex-husband took it out of the package and threw away
hold on. We got to clarify here, because when you say Cybertron and Optimus Prime, that could be many. She's talking about the War for Cybertron Deluxe, based on the video game, the first video game. You know what I'm talking about, right? That Deluxe War for Cybertron one in
I want a PlayStation.
Yes, yeah. So not the.
I think I still have
one.
that figure.
Yeah,
I think Matthew still has that game.
War for Cybertron one. Now, okay, finish your story.
Well, my husband took it out, and all I was told was it was Optimus Prime. So, of course, I didn't see the container. I didn't see anything. I didn't have instructions. They got misplaced in the whole wrapping paper rush. And I'm like, okay, sure, I'll take this. I'll transform it. I'm thinking this thing is a transport truck. So I'm trying to put together this thing, thinking it's a transport truck, and it's just not working out. I spent like an hour and a half over Christmas Day trying to put this thing together that looked nothing like a transport truck. It was the worst thing I've ever done. And when I finally got together, I was like, what is this? Who did this? Who did this? But it was an experience. Like I said, I've been dealing with Transformers for many, many years. Thanks to my kids.
Can you imagine doing that Optimus Prime with no instructions, no like YouTube review walkthroughs, no nothing other than, yeah, this is Optimus. He's supposed to be a truck, right? And
I didn't even have a picture. It was an experience. That's why when Dennis hands me Transformers now, I think that's why I'm so good at handling them, is just because I've had years of practice of putting these things together blindly. So he hands them to me and he's like, here, transform this. I don't read instructions. I just literally play with it and figure out all the joints and how everything works, and I don't know, visualize it in my head. So I had that going for me. So, because I don't find the instructions useful at all. I don't know how anyone reads them, personally.
I need them to be colorized for them to make sense to me. If it's all black and white or black and one other color or something, it doesn't process. Brain goes 404 error.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because I got from yesterday, I got Generations Reveal the Shield Perceptor from Moose.
Nice.
And I spent almost an hour and a half trying to figure out how to get the microscope bit to flip around so it becomes the lights for the front of the top of the truck, just so I can close the top piece. And I looked online and nobody had a good video of it. And I was like, oh God, I'm going to break this. Yeah, so I feel you.
Yeah, some of the third-party ones suck so bad.
What third-party one?
Like, I don't know, just in general. Like, sometimes they're just like, I don't know. Just I'm confused. I'm like, I guess I'm going to Emgo's channel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Sam, so to the top of my question then would be, when you go to the store looking for Transformers to buy your husband or your kids, what is your motivation? What are you looking? Do you know exactly what you're looking for? You said one likes Bumblebee.
I know exactly what I'm looking for. I don't go out blindly thinking, oh, hey, this will be something that Dennis will like, because as we all know, he's very opinionated and he has a very select taste. So if I'm going out to buy them, I specifically ask, and both him and my son have very specific tastes, and they will tell me exactly what they want. And I'll do the search, and I'll find it one way or another, whether it's actual store search or an online search. But I need to know, because what I think is cool and what they think are cool are usually two completely different things. And I'm only like iffy on Bumblebee in most cases. So I like for me, it would be a waste of money for me to go out and buy something that they really didn't want. Especially for Dennis, where he has so many. I don't want to be buying repeats or anything like that he's not really going to use. I want to make sure that it's good for him and it's good for the channel.
Yeah. So as I said, I was out with Moose yesterday, and Moose and we had no plans. We were going to go to dinner, and then we decided, hey, while we're here, we might as well go shopping because this is a mall. So we end up at Myers, we ended up at GameStop, we ended at Target. Was there another store? I feel like there might have been another store.
No, there was. We talked about going to the local collectible shop, but they were closed on Monday.
And then I think we almost went to Walmart, but you were like, I can get it at Meijer, so we ended up at Meijer.
Yeah, I had to do grocery shopping, so I had to bug out.
So I ended up picking up, and I was real resistant to it, picking up Shadow Panther. For some reason, I thought it was a Maximal. It's a Predacon. So I was like, well, that'd be a nice opposite for Cheetor. And then, Moose has been dying to get Magnus's Earth form for Earthrise. So I did a deal with him where I would pay for most of it in exchange for that Perceptor. And one of the pieces of the G1 colored Combiner Wars Menasor, who was off-road, right? Or no, it was Dead End.
It was Breakdown.
Oh, Breakdown. Okay, I have to fix that in my list. Okay, so...
you got the G2 colors, but I have the G1 colors, so that's why you said you wanted it, because it was the one.
Yes, because I can make a whole new combiner with them.
Yeah.
Because I bought off-road, so I now have two of the original Titans Return Combiner Wars G1 Menasor bits, because they're really hard to find now. But unlike Sam, who actually has a plan, I go in with no plans, totally just pick things off and go, can I afford this? I have no willpower. If I was a rich guy and somebody went to the store with me, they would be a bad influence because I would never be able to say no.
Yeah, that's me. I'm sorry.
Okay, so Danny, how do you make a decision on what you're picking up? I know, and keep in mind that Danny is literally surrounded by toys, so I feel like there is no decision. It's just, hey, that's a toy, buy it.
Yeah, I'm bad. I buy too much. It's terrible. I'm around so much of it from work and just going around and hunting, and I guess I just buy whatever that kind of interests me. It's not the best way to collect because anything you like, that just overwhelms you, and you collect too many lines. And I've sold some stuff off though, even gaming stuff and other stuff to buy everything. I'm not going into debt. I'm usually just kind of selling stuff on the side or doing whatever I can. But I try to stay in the my lane in a way, but yeah, I buy other things besides Transformers. I think that's what really kind of makes it chaotic,
I feel that personal level.
Yeah, Moose, aren't you selling a complete combiner?
Yeah, I decided I'm gonna I have a list of Transformers in my collection that I'm just trying to sell. I mean, with Christmas coming up and I have a stepson now, it's there's just no point in having overflow of multiple of the same characters. So I have a complete Optimus Maximus. Well, I say complete. He doesn't have the hot rod on his chest, but it's the G1 color Optimus, not the all white Optimus. But yeah, I put him in the sell pile, and I figure I have the Earthrise Optimus. I only need one Optimus really. Normally I would never get rid of any Retgars. Again, I'm a huge Weird Al fan, but Studio Series came out, and that's kind of the definitive best Retgar figure. So I'll sell the Generations one. I'll sell the Combiner Wars one. Because what's the point? I mean, unless you're specifically using Retgars to be generic Junkions, there you go. I just don't have shelf space for army builds.
Yeah, I see these people too that live near 15 Walmarts, 15 Targets in the States. If I did that, I'd be doing that stuff all day, every day. And I have 2 Walmarts, 1 Toys R Us, and I go there constantly. So I'm glad I don't live near all that junk. And I'm not there's Ages 3 and up in Vancouver, which is 4 hours away. And they have all that expensive third-party stuff. If I lived near that, I'd be homeless with my robots probably. But
yeah, I live a quarter mile away from a Walmart and a Target. I'm in Ohio. All of America's Toys R Us's have closed, but if I would be within walking distance of one. I'm right dead center in a little city. So it's kind of torturous this time of year being around all of the stuff that you want to spend all your money on and you just can't.
Well, try having a job where you visit 17 stores a week and all of them stock Transformers,
Mhm.
okay?
Ugh.
Dennis, how do you decide what you're picking up?
For yourself.
Analysis. Everybody knows analysis. I get a lot of flack for it, but I don't understand why I seem to be the only one who does it. A lot of people are like, value is subjective. No, it's not. Value is objective. We have established metrics of what value is. A deluxe traditionally is 84 grams of plastic. Boom. If it's less than that, then you're getting less for the same amount. Or, Voyager, established for many, many years that the range there, depending on complexity and paint apps and that sort of stuff, is between 145 and 165. This is math. This isn't opinion. This isn't subjective. This is math. If you get something that's 80 grams or 77 grams, like a certain someone, it's not a Voyager. You can try and justify it all you like, but it's objectively based on the metrics of established value by that company, not a Voyager. Same with Commander class. Jetfire set the standard of what is Commander class. And you know what? I would say that with Skylinks, yeah, we got significant mass, but we also had more chunkiness and less parts count. With Rodimus, we had less mass, still enough to be like double that of a liter, which makes sense for double the price. But we had more paint and we definitely had more complexity. So I analyze it. And honestly, my wife will tell you, there's nothing in this world that I want bad enough that I'm going to pay for unless I think the value's there. If I don't think the value's there, then I ain't getting it. It's really as simple as that. By the way,
he's not
inputs for
fun.
nonsense. Cartoon is king.
He's not fun. There have been times when I have convinced him, because I don't analyze Transformers. I go by looks and feel. And so there's been times where he's been like, I don't want this toy. And I'm like, I think you should get it. And I'll convince him otherwise against what he would call his better judgment. And as it turns out, I'm right.
But not,
So
not just Transformers though. Like my
Sometimes
wife will tell
analysis
you,
doesn't always work.
like not just Transformers though, but like that's the way I am with everything. Like buying a car, like, and you can ask her now, and she'll tell, or she'll probably be able to confirm what I would say. I do not haggle. I go in and I say, give me your best price. If you can't, then I'm not interested. I don't haggle. I talk as though certain things are just automatically included. Like naturally, you're giving me both all season and winter tires. Naturally, they're going to be studied. Naturally, I have rims for both, right? Naturally, you're going to give me a tire kit in my car. I just talk. I don't ask for these things. I assume they're included. And if somebody comes back and says no, I'll walk. It's really as simple as that. Am I right or wrong, Sam?
No, he's right. I do a little bit more haggling, but
Not me.
I also got the better deal on my car. So
Did you though?
oh,
Did you though?
Okay, so Danny, what are you looking forward to in figures next year?
Yeah, I don't know. Legacy, I guess, seems interesting. We'll see how it goes. I guess.
I think I just killed Dennis with this question. I know to God he's going to talk about RC, and it's gonna be a thing. Go ahead, Danny. Finish up. We'll move to Dennis in a minute.
Yeah, no, I'm interested in Legacy. Not so much like the combiner stuff, but like the G2 Optimus Laser Prime or whatever. I've always wanted that as a kid. Never got it, so I'm interested in that. And yeah, probably more third-party stuff and just kind of whatever. I'm just watching. Just seeing what else. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw those leaks for those like buzzworthy 86 cup and whatever. So I mean,
Yeah,
I
just
saw
the
that cup.
more
I like the
repaints
paint
and
on the
stuff.
86
Kind
cup.
of kind of depressing. But I mean, I'll see what they're throwing out there. But maybe I'll be picky and choosy. My one friend came over recently, and he's like, "There's no room for anything in your house for Legacy." I'm like, I guess more stuff's going under the bed, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, if you get rid of some of that Ninja Turtle stuff, I'll gladly take it.
No, Anthony.
Okay, Moose. I know you want the Studio Series Blur. You did mention that yesterday.
Yes, but the reason why I'm not jumping on it, I can find him easily. The reason I'm not jumping on it is because I still have a Titans Return Blur, and I figure it's a very comparable look for me. I'm sure the Studio Series is a better quality figure because, let's be honest, Titans Return was very thin plastic. You feel like you can just crush it with one hand. But as far as looks goes, I have a Blur. So I'm a little less inclined to like get the other one unless I sell my current one. And that's kind of where I'm at with collecting. Is I don't want to be I don't want to be redundant and waste my money. And that's why I'm selling so much of it, is because I don't need them. But I wouldn't be opposed to getting, the Studio Series Blur or the Cup. It's just at the moment I'm okay just hanging on to the Titans Returns one, as a alternative. But I did get, the Galvatron from Kingdom. So then I ended up selling my Titans Return Galvatron. So it's kind of like, I would end up selling it if I got it, but I'm just not like too excited about jumping on it. Does that make sense? It's like I want to, but I don't.
You have something else, so you don't feel like you have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't apply to me anymore. I just buy whatever. Okay. Okay, so Sam, I'm about to ruin your day, or probably your night.
Oh,
Dennis, I love the Bulkhead.
Yeah,
I like that. I have no respect for you anymore.
I know where he's going with this. Yeah. I know the Bulkhead looks the way it looks. I just appreciate it for what it is. They're trying
I appreciate it for garbage.
I appreciate the effort they're putting in and trying to take an animated look and making it look like how it would have looked in the 80s. I appreciate that.
No, I don't even appreciate that, and I don't think it would look like that in the 80s. I think it looks like garbage and trash, and it should never have been, and it's an abomination.
I thought it did look like a garbage truck at first, though.
Take out the head, because that's beautiful, and actually put it on something good, and fire whoever designed that, because they're incompetent and don't know what they're doing. That's not bad.
Your rage against this mold.
It's not rage. It's not rage. I'm so happy that the fans, that the Star Wars fans are reacting to the Rancor the way that they are, because it's a high time that company was held accountable to the fans for what they do, and fans have been letting them away with garbage for way too long. Man. Now,
so what do you mean by what they're reacting to? I haven't heard anything on the Rancor.
As the tiers were revealed, people started canceling their pre-orders and backing out.
Oh, they were crowdfunding it.
Yeah, because it's through HasLab, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the HasLab.
And they started falling off in droves, saying this isn't what we want. And I think now they've decided they're going to do one of the things, but hold them accountable. It's your money. It's not like you owe them anything. They should be trying to win your buying dollars. Give you the absolute best quality products at competitive prices. It's not rocket science, folks. Now, that being said, I went on a rant. To the question. The question is, what are you looking forward to, right?
Yep.
Okay, so first things first, I want to know, Input said in the comments, if the rumors about the Stunticons are true, then he wants them. What rumors is he talking about is what I'd like to know. I'm just curious what rumors he's talking about. I'll go on and answer the question while he's talking or while he says that, because quick input, because I don't have a lot to say here. So, okay, so the Buzzworthy Cup looks fine, looks great. I mean, the chest being silver, yeah, I like that. I think that's the way it always should have been. The cliff jumper, I said when Siege started, I said, or Earthrise or whatever cliff jumper came out, and I said, it's not the cliff for me. And a lot of people loved it, and Crimson, shout out to Crimson, actually sent me a cliff jumper, and I said, well, if I got it, I said, I got to make a G1. I'm just saying, you want to know what this Buzzworthy one looks like? Go back, look at my custom cliff jumper, and tell me that that's not, other than the baby blue window, tell me it's not exactly now the colors coming out in that. It's what they should have done all along for that cliff jumper. Anyway, what am I looking forward to? Skids. We're done.
That Skids is good for a boxy car. It reminds me of, what is that boxy van that's kind of out right now? It reminds me of that one.
I don't know, but here's the thing. The Skids is definitely more accurate, and it's got to be better than that Generations one, because that thing's not good. It can barely put its arms out. So, that's the only reason I'm getting it. The kickback, maybe. I'm hoping 86 will finish the other Dinobots, but there's not much. I don't think that Legacy looks good, to be perfectly frank with you. I am looking at the Stunticons are made up of different.
I think it meant era, not area.
Oh, so different era Stunticons? Interesting.
Because the Dragstep is made of the G1 version.
I heard that.
And then what would be the other eras in which those other Stunticons exist?
I feel like Legacy is them saying, we don't know what to do next. We want to move away from G1 because we've done those characters a billion times over, but we have no idea what to do. So we're just going to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, it
And I
seems
feel
like
like
they're kind of
that's
trying to do Generations all over again, you know?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay, so Sam, what are you looking forward into the new year? Not necessarily Transformers related, since it's not your hat.
Yeah, I don't have any Transformers stuff that I'm looking forward to. Dennis says we've been so busy, he hasn't even been showing me pictures of the things that are coming up. Sometimes I feel like I don't even see him because he's been crazy busy. In the new year, honestly, I'm looking forward to hopefully living more of a normal life, and hopefully this pandemic era will be soon over. Other than that, I don't have anything really going into 2022. Just regular life and trying to hopefully live it a little bit more normally.
Okay. So, as my throat is deciding to reject my air, so I did some polling out of curiosity now that that feature was available, and we're going to switch to, let's see, where's it at? Here we go. And this is going to be a just an ego trip for myself, but you're going to be a captive audience for it. Okay, so I did some polls, and the first one I did about a month ago was, what type of videos do you wish to see more from this channel? Now, this is HNE Games, but in general, it gives us an idea of what people are looking for. And if you know anything about my channel, I do shorts and I do long form reviews. Nothing like Dennis does, nothing like TF Collector does, because those are super detailed, and I don't have the patience for going into that much detail. But most people seem to be fairly interested in a review, and I can't say that's not true because I enjoy a good review. I am actually looking forward to the Hot Rod Rodimus review that Dennis is doing. So it's nice to see the comparisons and the detail. So then I did some documentaries, I did some playthroughs, and we can see that journalistic pieces seem to do pretty well as well, which explains why things like Rodimus Primal's documentaries are a good catch. Like, people really enjoy those. But I think his viewership might be more skewed towards the journalistic pieces, and then his reviews are backburnered. But for Danny, where do you see that most of the people like on your channel? Where do you think your numbers go?
Yeah, mostly just when sadly, it's the stuff I put the less effort in, like just taking my camera out and going in a store and like just doing like either news clips or just talking with other YouTubers about their channels or just discussion videos. Like, I always want to do something like Dennis and break down the figure. I put all that effort in there and all, try my best to film the figure and all that. And then it's like 90 views. And then I just open my big mouth and I get way more, or I said, just going around and shopping and filming, and I can do that because I go out and hunt all the time, so it's not even really that job. I just pull up my phone quickly, do a couple inserts, and that's that. And that stuff does the best when I look at my analytics and just see the views and the people that comment and all that. So I think in the new year, like I said, I've kind of taken a breather, but I'm going to step my game up and just get into that, just kind of that kind of stuff, because it's less work, but I guess it does the best, so I kind of have to go with that at this point.
So where do you see your numbers go, Dennis? Where are the people interested on your channel?
Currently, I would say the two biggest ones would definitely be the live show on Thursday. That's very much a bread and butter type of thing, but the countdowns. I think it's because it's so interactive. I mean, again, Sam will tell you, there's hundreds upon hundreds of votes. Like, some people are like, oh yeah, you're basing this on 50 votes. No, I'm not at all.
You post 11 sites or something like that, don't you, for the voting?
18 groups.
Oh, fudge.
18 groups, my page, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, the community tab on YouTube, and really anywhere else I can put it. By the time it's all done, I'm usually somewhere between 500 and 800 votes, and I've teetered on 1,000. So like it's a pretty good cross-section segment, to be honest with you. We're not basing this on a small sampling, right? And when I'm actually able to put in the work and I'm putting out the series and the things, Universal Collision. So all of that, usually more than the reviews. Now, sometimes if people really want the detail, and I do have some certain loyal people for sure, I'm trying to streamline the reviews a bit and make them a bit shorter, but still keep the detail in there. I've been doing that with the KO Studio Series Devastator reviews, and they've been a little bit shorter, but still trying to be pretty detailed. So that's something I'm going to be trying in the future as well. But yeah, mostly I would say the live stream and the countdowns right now. And when I can get back to Universal Collision, which working out when I can is all I can say. Those usually do well too. So those three.
Okay, so Moose, as a collector, when you're looking for videos about figures, what are you looking for?
Me?
Moose.
Oh, Moose. Sorry.
When I do, I usually just go towards the detailed reviews. You know, they'll open it up and they'll, you know, talk about the defects or the paint apps or if this joint's too loose or the step-by-step how to transform it. But for the most part, I like to keep the actual figure kind of a surprise for myself. You know, it's almost like when you build a Lego set, you want to build it as you go and kind of get that experience firsthand yourself. And I kind of like in the back of my head, kind of reviewing it myself. But yeah, I just like when I want to know more about a specific figure, I have that kind of community that will answer my questions for me before I drop the money on it.
So, Sam, you basically are given a list. Do you do any research before you go out and start buying what you're asked to buy?
Nope. I trust my husband implicitly. If that's what he wants, that's what he gets. And same with the kids. I'm pretty flexible with that stuff. For me, it doesn't really matter unless he asks for my direct opinion. Which he does. He does all the time. And you'll see him, especially in the live shows. He'll mention my opinion on things because he'll hold up two and he'll be like, "Which one?" And then I'll put them in robot form. And which one? Are you still, what do you like? And I'll take them and I'll look at them. I'll fool around with them. And that's about as much research as I do is the hands-on once we've already got them. I give him my opinions on them then. But as for research prior, that's not my thing.
You know what's really interesting? She's had varying opinions so far. And I'll end up asking her again closer to when I actually look at these. But she's had varying opinions so far on which Mirage she prefers, the Siege or the one that came in the Battle Against Time pack. Yeah. And what she said in the nighttime is different than the answers I asked her in the daytime. I thought that was really weird. I asked her which one she preferred in the night, and then I asked her again in the daytime, and she gave me different answers.
Is the lighting different?
That's
what I'm thinking. Sometimes too, I will like one figure more in the robot form and then the other in the alt mode. And it's really hard because he's like, "Well, which one do you like?" And I'm like, "Well, I like this one in robot and this one in alt, so I don't know."
It's like an eye exam. Number one or number two? Number one or number two?
It's very much like that.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going back to the polling here, and we have the obligatory, what generation do you like? And
how far did G1 end up winning this time?
Yeah, G1, G2 Beast Era, and Animated Prime RAD tied for first place. And then Robots in Disguise Unicron Trilogy has 2%. Prime Wars has 12%, and then the Bayverse movies and Bumblebee have 10%. So I can tell where my audience is. Danny, where is your audience? Is it G1? Is it Beast Wars? Where do you think they mainly fall?
Yeah, probably all over the place a little. I think people come there for like more the personality than like the figure when I'm holding it up, to tell you the truth. Because I mean, a lot of people like are more detailed when they do their figure reviews and all that than I am. I think I'm just there to like make people smile and laugh. But my focus is kind of like G1, G2. Generations and Beast Wars stuff is like what I'm a fan of, and that's the stuff that gets me excited. So yeah.
Okay. So, Moose, what is your favorite generation? Because I feel like it is G1 based on just my experience with you.
I would probably say aesthetically G1. Now, if we're talking like actual shows, what I enjoy viewing the most, hands down, Transformers Prime. That I think, in my opinion, is just the best cartoon since animated. And I loved animated as a show. I just didn't like the cartoony aesthetics, and I didn't care for the toy line. But I loved the show. But as far as collecting goes, I stick more towards the G1 aesthetic.
Okay, so Dennis, I feel like you're a G1 guy as well.
Well, yes, but first things first. Input Voyager Chrome Dome. I would say there was one on Sir Toys. It was a KO of the Combiner Wars one, but there was one there that was Voyager. And you're saying Generations Mirage? It's all right. I reviewed it. I don't know if I'd say the best, but it's definitely strong. It was definitely a good one. And the one that I reviewed, to be fair, had a loose waist, so that kind of colored me a bit. But it is definitely a good one, no doubt about it. Okay. Yeah, G1. G1 is my jam. That's when that's where my nostalgia lies. That being said, I do adore the Beast era because the storytelling is brilliant. Anybody who says I hate Beast Wars, you haven't watched the show then, because the way that the stories are weaved and the characters are developed is really, really brilliant. Transformers Prime would be a third. So G1, Beast, Transformers Prime. Shout out to Animated. Love the story and the storytelling, character development there as well. Love it. Very brilliant, which we had a season 4. The figures were great. Like, I've reviewed a bunch of them and they've always been a treat. But the kind of cartoony aesthetic is something that I've always found a little hard to swallow. But I thought that the figures were built well. I thought it was a great series. But in terms of my eras, G1 for sure, Beast close second. In fact, I would argue and say Beast is part of G1, and Prime.
Okay.
I like Prime.
Oh, I was about to ask you, Sam, in your 20-ish years of buying toys for other figures, have you gotten into any of the shows or the movies?
I did. People are gonna be mad.
Is the word Bayverse about to come out of your mouth?
The word Bayverse is about to come out.
Okay.
I didn't grow up with Transformers the way Dennis did. I just didn't. So I really got into it with the Bayverse, and it really opened me up to it. Of course, then when I met Dennis, he's the G1 guy, and I just don't have that nostalgia and that attachment to it. All of my nostalgia actually comes from Bayverse, but I have watched Prime, and I would say that is the story on that really interests me. I like cartoons. Everyone knows I'm a big Sailor Moon fan. So like that sort of Prime era was the height for me. And I do like the figures because it relates to the cartoon, and that's what I know. So, and again with the Bayverse, I like the studio series and the ones that come out from the movies. Everyone will rag on me for it, but honestly, I don't care. I like what I like, so.
I know what you're saying. I love the Bayverse movies too. I do acknowledge that they are kind of not as well written as they should have been. I'm sorry, but entertainment wise, nostalgia wise, I was when I was a kid, I watched Armada and Animated and all that, but I didn't really get into it until Bayverse kind of drew me in with just the sheer entertainment value of how flashy the explosions and all the randomness was.
Explosions.
That's what led me to look into more of the comics, and that's when I discovered I liked G1 better. So yeah, I can't diss on Bayverse, even though you can.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who have their opinions about it, but I feel that if the whole Bayverse era hadn't happened, then maybe I wouldn't be as big of a fan as I am. Which I'm not the hugest fan, but I do like Transformers. And it's not just because of my husband. Like I said, I've been buying Transformers, like I said, for my kids and indulging that side of it for years before I met him. So there was always a side of me that liked it, and it's because of that. And I've sat down and I've torn those movies apart with him at some points because there are some questionable stuff in it. But like you said, for the entertainment value is definitely there. As long as you don't look too hard into it. You can just enjoy it for what it is, and I don't feel
Brain
guilty
off
for
and
that.
enjoy the explosion.
Bayverse. It's a gateway drug.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Although
I think
am
that's the
so-
best way I can describe. I've ever heard anyone describe the Bayverse movies.
I mean, I loved Bumblebee the most. I know it technically isn't Bayverse, but I just all the stuff you see coming out of the new movie, I'm kind of like, I don't know if it's going to be as good as Bumblebee.
Yeah. There's a lot they're trying to do with the new movie, like 5 factions and stuff. Like I think Scourge looks really cool and whatnot, but like I'm worried because I feel like that the filmmakers are to a point where they're like, okay, we had a bomb with like the last big blockbuster version. Then, as we're coming off now, the world being sideways, we had a bomb with G.I. Joe. Because let's be realistic, I went to see Snake Eyes. It was out like a week. I went to see it, and it was at a theater. I'm like, I haven't seen the movie. I don't know if it's good or bad or in between. I have no idea because it didn't last long enough for a bottle of beer. Like it didn't last long enough for anything. I think that there's a part of them that is very, very concerned and saying we need to have every element that people could want in this. And I'm concerned as to whether or not it's actually going to work out or not. By the way, Ultra Megatron has said that spouses that help are heroes. I absolutely 100% agree. That's absolutely true. And I saw somebody say there that the Ark was like $100 on Amazon. Good price for it, man. Good price.
Yeah, that was input. No, we're trying to remember what the exact words was. Give me your face, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was weird. I was uncomfortable. I was in theaters. I was like, eh. All right. So that is the end of my topic list for this episode. So we covered a celebrity from the John Bermuda Schwartz from Weird Al. Again, going on his tour, selling a book. And you can find the links for him as well as Danny and GotBot's channels in the description. Now, does anybody want to talk about anything else before we wrap this up?
I think we've had a good show.
Right. Okay, so Dennis, in addition of telling people where they can find you again, are you doing a show on Thursday? Because I know you say you had parent-teacher conferences.
Yeah, I did, and they're done. I will 100% do the show on Thursday. We're going to, of course, talk about the news topics of the day. We, of course, will do a round of trivia. I've actually been in contact. I think a lot of people know the like little official shorts that have come out in the last little while, the little stop motion shorts that have been done. I've been in contact with a couple of the creators that got a little bit of the like background on it. Not a lot, but a little bit. And I'm going to do a little bit of I'll say a mini review because those little stop motions, they've been fun, but they're only 2 or 3 minutes, right? So I'll do a quick little review of that as well. And we're probably going to start soon talking a little bit about some of the like holiday ideas and whatnot. I'm hoping soon to as well get, and I may end up having to have a week short of reviews for this. We'll see, but I'm hoping very soon to also film and do this year's It's a Very Transformers Christmas. So some busy times up and coming, but yeah, Thursday we're going to do the live show, baby.
Okay, Danny, what do you have coming up?
No videos. No, I'm working. I got a Danny's World in the mix, and then just some other topic videos. So that'll be out soon on my channel. So check that out. I'll be back more than ever soon. It's just like I said, just crazy time. But
Holidays is a busy time. Yes.
Yeah, just been a lot.
Isn't there a show called Tales from Something on a Saturday? What is
I
that
don't even
show?
know if that's going much anymore, but that we'll be back for Tales of Teletran every whatever day it's going to be, maybe Wednesday. It's starting in January. We all hung out recently. We just had our other one for Scramble City, so that's posted on Input's channel. And we all hung out the other night and talked about stuff. It just like I said, we've been doing it. They've been doing it like 2 years, I think, every Saturday. I think people just kind of got burnt a little. They want to, especially the world's kind of opening up slightly, so people are more busy now again on Saturday. So just trying to find out what time and stuff works for everyone. But you can find that on Input Reviews and Customs now.
Okay. So Sam, any appearances you plan to make in any future GotBot live streams?
There's nothing ever in the works. My appearances are usually random at best, and they're usually
Really
last
be
minute.
inconvenience.
We it's never like, oh, Starscream wife is usually going to be here unless it's something, specific. And Dennis usually is pretty good at advertising that stuff. I'm in and out. I don't make any plans. Unlike Dennis, who actually spends a lot of time on his Transformer content. So if people don't realize how much time and effort actually goes into the work that he does, it eats, I'm not going to lie, it eats into our spare time. So for me, sometimes getting away from the Transformer side of it is actually a break when he goes on the live stream. Sometimes I use that as time for myself. I try to be supportive and I try to go in when I can, but honestly, because there is a lot of time used up with Transformer stuff, sometimes I use that time as a break for myself.
I can't do what I do without my family's support. And I don't make any bones about it. I cannot do what I do without their support and understanding.
Okay. Moose, you going to come back and do this again sometime in the future?
Absolutely. Just let me know when.
Okay. So, again, everybody, the links for Danny and GotBot's pages are in the description. I'd like to thank everybody for participating. And thank you all for watching. And what? Oh, okay, cool. I'm going to do this. This is a very long tag.
Hashtag respect to all reviewers and content makers.
Here we go. Thank you, Ultra Megatronus. See you guys all again in the next live stream. Thanks for watching.
Happy holidays.